Commercial grade electronic dog fence versus a consumer grade? Is the cost difference even really worth it? Hey folks, it's Adam with Outdoor Pet Solutions, and in this video we're going to break down the components that are provided in a typical DIY consumer grade dog fencing kit compared to a professional grade dog fencing kit. Until now, you really haven't had the option to purchase a commercial grade electronic dog fence that you can install yourself. You would typically have to go through a local dealer franchise and pay thousands of dollars to have them install it for you and assist you with the training process. But now you have that option. So in this video, we're going to compare the OPS 1000 commercial grade dog fencing system to the most popular consumer grade dog fencing kit that's available. The basic in-ground fence by PetSafe. It's mass produced and it's widely popular because of its price point. It's only a couple $100, and it comes with the essentials that you can use to help train your dog to stay in the yard. And so we're going to compare the components. Let's start with the transmitter. It's the brains of the operation. So this is the transmitter that's provided in the in-ground basic pet fence by PetSafe. It's very compact, very small. Not a whole lot of switches and dials on this. All you have is one dial right there in the front with a couple of terminal points in the bottom. And then there's two lights here. One is labeled power and the other one's labeled loop. There's a power jack on this side here that you plug the AC adapter into. And when you do, you're gonna get the power light to come on. And then when you have a complete loop connected at the bottom here with no breaks in your line, the loop light will illuminate. On the back of this unit, you do have the points in which you can mount it on the wall. These little slip locks here, you put a couple of screws in the wall. The kit does not come with mounting screws. You'll have to come up with your own to hang the transmitter on the wall where you would like to mount it. This is what's producing a radio frequency around your yard, typically 10K. And the collar that your dog wears is tuned to the frequency of the transmitter. So when the collar comes into proximity of that wire and picks up that frequency, it's going to begin to react. It operates pretty much the same way as all the other fence systems on the market. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of fail-safes built into this transmitter. It's simply on and off, and if the wire gets broken or damaged in your loop, you'll lose this light here. There's no alarm on this system that's going to start alarming to let you know that the break has occurred. It's simply just going to lose a light there. So you're going to want to check on this transmitter periodically to make sure you have power and that you have a complete loop. The dial in the front is what's used to adjust the broadcast of the frequency off the wire. So you can boost that field up off the wire and you can dial it down. And that's just adjustable for different size yards. If you have a real small yard, you're going to be dialing this back. If you have a large yard, you can boost it up higher. So other than that, there's not a whole lot more to go over on this basic transmitter from PetSafe. Now let's compare this transmitter to the OPS 1000. This is a commercial grade transmitter. As you can see, it's much larger. It's designed to handle a much larger property if needed. All the switches and dials are protected by the front cover, and the status light is right here. This status light will illuminate blue while you have a solid connection and everything's working properly. This status light will then change to red if it needs your attention, and if the underground cable has been damaged or compromised in some way, this will not only turn red, but it will flash red and an audible alarm will begin to sound. On the back, there is a mounting plate that does slide off, so you slide the unit up like that, remove the mounting plate. There's a couple of holes there that you use to mount this to the wall, and then you can slide the transmitter on top. And we do provide the mounting hardware for the transmitter. Unlike the DIY kits, a lot of them don't include that hardware, but we do provide you some drywall anchors and some screws so you can mount it right on the drywall, or you can screw it directly into a stud. That then exposes the 6 AA's that go in the back. It's a built-in battery backup system, so in the event that your power goes out in your neighborhood, you won't lose your dog fence. So this is a very nice feature that's built into a commercial grade system to make sure your dog fence is always up and running and keeping your dog safely contained. The front cover swings open and it reveals the status chart and various system adjustments here. Notice there's a lot more to adjust and fine tune with a commercial grade system compared to the one dial on the basic dog fence. You've got different adjustments for different size yards. This chart here explains the various statuses that can occur. Whether you have a break in the system, again, this light will flash red and an audible alarm will be sounding. Also, this will change to a solid red if the backup batteries have been drained down to a point they need to be replaced, or if power has been lost to the unit and it's running on battery backup, it will also notify you of that. But when the power restores, it switches back to blue and everything's good to go. This is also where you make adjustments for the collar. You can set individual collars at different levels for different size dogs. So that sums up the transmitter on the OPS 1000, the commercial grade, versus the standard basic transmitter. We'll quickly compare the AC adapter for the transmitter. As you can see, there's a vast difference between the size of the OPS 1000 AC adapter and then the standard basic PetSafe one. That's because the OPS 1000 does require a little bit more juice to power because it can cover a larger area. Next, the surge unit. Now the surge unit, as you can see, is the same. So the fuse that's used in these surge units is pretty common. It's used to protect the transmitters from lightning strikes and surges in the power service. So there's no difference in the surge units between a consumer grade product and the commercial grade product. Now, some of these DIY kits online don't include the surge unit. This is very important. So if you happen to pick up an inexpensive DIY kit and they do not have a component in there looking like this, you're gonna want to jump on my website and order one so that you can protect not only your transmitter, but your home from lightning strikes and surges in the power service. Next, we'll go over the collar. The collar that's offered in the basic in-ground fence by PetSafe offers 5 different levels. The first level is actually training mode, which is just an audible tone that the dog will listen for, followed by 4 increasing levels of correction. The style of correction that is delivered in these consumer grade kits is what's called sharp stimulus. It's typically a more painful stimulus that's used to train the dogs. It's not what professional dog trainers prefer. We prefer a blunt stimulus, but it will get your dog's attention, definitely. But I would certainly start at a much lower intensity level on this than jumping to a higher level. Those collar intensity levels are adjustable by removing this cap here. It exposes a button that you press. The collar will illuminate red, and you press it again, it illuminates red 2 more times for level 2. You press it again and so on, all the way up to 5, and then it rotates back to 1 for training mode. It does utilize a disposable battery. The disposable batteries are proprietary. It's one of those flat disc batteries that's been specially encased in a plastic cap that can only fit in the collar. So you won't be able to buy a generic battery off the shelf. You'll have to buy one of their proprietary batteries. To remove it, you just unlock it and remove it that way. And as you can see, it's just a standard watch battery. Nothing too proprietary about that. It's the cap that has the battery encased in it that makes it proprietary. So that is a bit of a drawback that you're forced to buy the batteries they provide. The strap itself is nylon, pretty standard nylon collar with a plastic locking clasp. Now the OPS 1000 utilizes commercial grade components and the collar is no different. As you can see, there's a little bit of a size difference, not much, but a slight size difference in these 2 collars. And the reason is because this one uses a rechargeable cell. The cell inside is a lithium ion cell that only takes about an hour, hour and a half to charge up, and it lasts up to 2 to 3 months before you have to charge it again. Just keep an eye on the green light that's flashing green every 4 seconds, like that. It'll change to an amber color and it's time to recharge it. The battery that is inside is replaceable. So that's really nice. You don't have to throw away the whole commercial grade collar. Instead, you just take out the 4 screws, open up the clamshell, replace the battery, and then you're good to go for many more years of rechargeability. These collars do not have any buttons or dials on them. The reason is we wanted them to be fully water submersible. So these can actually go up to 500 feet deep. I don't know why, your dog shouldn't be scuba diving, but nonetheless, the collar can get wet. This system offers 30 levels of adjustability, a whole lot more adjustability compared to the DIY systems that usually have only 4 or 5 levels. The 30 levels of correction that are built into this can range for dogs as little as 5 pounds all the way up to the big ones, and they're independently adjustable by using the transmitter. Also, the stimulation that's delivered by this is a blunt stimulus. This is what's used by professional dog trainers. So if you hire a dog trainer to teach your dog various skills and behavior, they're going to more than likely be using a remote trainer. And that remote trainer is using blunt stimulus. It just grabs your dog's attention rather than sharply stimulating them, causing a bunch of anxiety and a possible negative association with your yard. To prevent all that, using the veterinarian approved stimulus is the way to go. Also, the strap that is on these fence collars are not nylon. They're rubber infused, they're biothane. And all the components that lock together are metal, very heavy duty, riveted, and made to take a beating. So they're designed to last a lifetime versus the plastic components that are used on these DIY kits. It comes with a charging cable. The charging cable does have the ability to charge 2 collars at the same time if you need to. You simply just plug it in the back. It takes about an hour, hour and a half to charge up, and it'll last 2 to 3 months before you have to recharge it again. In both kits, there's a few accessories that come along with it for the collar. In the basic kit, you do get a couple of extra long probes for longer haired dogs, as well as a test light. This test light is used to test the collar to see if it's delivering a correction rather than you having to place your hand on it to feel it yourself. Similar in the commercial grade, you do have a couple of extra longer probes. These are your 3/4 inch. We do also offer up to 1 inch long probes for those really thick haired dogs. There's also, just like in the basic kit, there's a test light that's used for the same purpose. You put the probes into those 2 ports there on the bottom, light bulb right there in case that will illuminate, letting you know that the collar is delivering a correction. Let's talk about the training flags. Every kit should come with a set of flags that you can visually mark the boundary with so your dog understands where their limitations are. In the consumer grade dog fencing kits, this is what you'll typically have. You'll have a set of 50 training flags. These flags tend to be on the smaller size. They only have a 12-inch long stem, and as you can see, the flag itself is not very large. So to get your dog's attention, I would order a lot more flags if you can to really visually mark that boundary, because that little flag there every 4 or 5 feet may not be enough to get your dog's attention, showing them where their boundaries are. Now, compare that to the commercial grade flags. The commercial grade flags are much larger. The stems are much longer as well. These are 15-inch long stems, and these are big 4x5 flags. So you can see there's a big difference between the commercial grade and the consumer grade just on the training flags. Now, another thing to consider is when you order the OPS 1000, I don't shortchange you with just 50 flags. 50 flags for 500 feet of cable is not enough. You need 100. So I double it up for you. Not only do you get the larger flags, nice visual aid for your dog to learn their boundaries, but you get twice as many of them. All right, so now let's talk about the boundary wire that goes in the ground that connects to your transmitter. That boundary wire in the typical consumer grade dog fencing kits looks a lot like this. This is 500 feet of 20 gauge with a thin 20 mil jacket on top. This is UV rated, it's made to go in the ground, but because the jacketing is very thin, it tends to break down a little more quickly than a commercial grade cable would. The gauge of the copper, again, is only 20 gauge, so it's very thin. You can easily pull it apart. So once it's out in the elements underground, it's going to be just a matter of time before you start having issues with this size of cable. This is very small and lightweight, so they can easily put it in a box and ship it around the country. That's the main reason they put in such a small gauge of wire. Compare that to the commercial grade wire. This is 500 feet of commercial grade cable. This is a 14 gauge solid core copper with a 45 mil jacket on top. This is the biggest gauge of wire that you can connect into the bottom of these transmitters. The connection ports will only take such a big cable, and this is the biggest stuff. 14 gauge is considerably larger than the 20 gauge. You cannot pull this apart. It's designed to take a beating, and it's made to last a lifetime. The type of jacketing that is on this wire that I supply you in the OPS 1000 is very dense. I went through a lot of different wire suppliers a long time ago trying to figure out what the best wire was to be using. And the reason I did a lot of research and picked the absolute best and spend that little bit of extra money to get the best is because I warranty what I do and I want it to last a long time. So you're gonna get the same quality cable in the OPS 1000 commercial grade dog fence. Now, when you're installing your dog fence, the wire that you connect from the transmitter out to the boundary, you typically don't want it to be producing a signal because it's running right through the middle of your yard. And then once it gets out to the end of your yard and then it branches off around the perimeter of your property, that's where you want the signal to be. So to prevent that signal from projecting off the wires that are running from the transmitter out to the boundary, you're gonna wanna twist the cable together. You're gonna wanna pull off 2 sections of wire long enough to reach the transmitter from the boundary. And you're gonna twist those lines together. After you twist them together, you're gonna splice them to your boundary using these included splices. These wire nuts are for small 20 gauge wire. It's included in the basic dog fence kit. To twist that wire together, you can do it manually. You want to get it good and tight so that signal doesn't have a chance to bleed off and accidentally activate the collar inside your yard where you don't want it to be activating. In the commercial grade dog fencing kit, I provide you pre-twisted wire. This is 100 feet of pre-twisted wire that you can run from your transmitter out to the boundary. You don't have to mess with trying to get that wire all wrapped together using a drill or whatever other means you can come up with. It's already done for you. This is a huge advantage when it comes to installing your dog fence because this will save you a lot of time. And of course, we do supply you with a similar set of splices. These are for the 14 gauge cable, and these are the heavy duty grease capsules to make sure your connections are good and watertight. Aside from the quality component differences between a do-it-yourself consumer grade kit versus the now commercial grade kit that you can order, one of the big differences is the information that comes with the kit. So the consumer grade kit comes with a pamphlet like this. It's very small. It has a few bits of information in there to help you get it installed and to help start the training process with your dog. This will help you get the job done, but it's very limited on the information they provide. When you order a commercial grade kit, you're gonna get this manual. This walks you through the complete step-by-step way to install it like a professional, not like a consumer. This pamphlet will tell you different things like drape the wire through a window and then plug it into an outlet, things like that. That's all nonsense, and it's not the way to do it professionally. If you want to install the system in less than a weekend like a professional, where you get it done right the first time and not have to mess with it again, the information that comes in here will get that done for you. Plus, my YouTube channel has a lot of helpful tips and tricks on how to install these systems. Most importantly, the training process. The Gentle Approach training process that's in this pamphlet is the same training process that I provide my customers that I install for. And it will walk you through how to properly teach your dog their new boundaries. There is a cost difference involved when buying a commercial grade versus the consumer grade, obviously. For just a few $100s more, you're gonna get the best components available with a lot more features, plus it's gonna be followed up with the best support. If you're interested in ordering your very own OPS 1000, be sure to click the link in the description and it'll take you right to my website where you can order your very own OPS 1000 today, and it'll come with free shipping. And as always, thanks for watching. Goodbye.